Hi NSA, this is Steve Shapiro. About a year ago, January of 2013, I did this 2-week retreat. They took my phone, my computer, my tablets, and they locked them in a safe. And for 2 weeks, I had absolutely no communication with the outside world. Now, I want you for a moment to think about what would you do in that situation? Well, for me, it meant that I had to give up control. I had to let other people into my business. I had to let other people do things that I felt I had to do all the time. Otherwise, over the course of the 2 weeks, my business would fall apart. And so I also, out of that, decided that I want to work a lot less. I was probably working 100 hours a week between travel and speeches and doing all the things that we as speakers do to grow our business. I decided I want to work 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day. Now, to do that, clearly, I had to give up control, and I had to have other people doing a lot of the work for me. And what I do now is every single morning, I will wake up and I will ask myself, what's the one thing that I need to do today that will have the greatest impact in my business that only I can do? For everything else, either I wait to the next day or I get someone else to do it for me. And this allows me to focus on the things that are most important. And if I look at my business, basically there's only 3 things that I really do these days as it relates to the current business. I'm either giving speeches or preparing for those speeches, or I'm writing articles for the various blogs and magazines I write for. That's pretty much it. I don't do much else. Other people handle every other part of my business. Now, even though I only work an hour a day on the core part of my business, my current customers, my current products, my current content, I do spend a fair amount of time on the future. Now, here's the great thing with the future. It's not urgent. You don't have to go for new customers, new markets, new products. But it's a nice thing to do. So there's never an urgency around it. To me, it's also fun because it's innovation. It's creativity. It gets my juices flowing, and I really enjoy that. So I spend a fair amount of time on that. As I think about the things that I create for the future, what I do is I make sure that I don't end up spending too much time on those either. And that comes down to choosing the right partners. So what I'm always doing is looking at not just how do I get something developed, but I figure out how do I get it developed with me spending as little time and as little money as possible while someone else has a vested interest in what we're creating. And so I consciously choose partners who are willing to put skin in the game. So we've developed training courses, video-based e-learning, and other types of things where my upfront cost is very little, if anything at all. My energy that I invest, the time that I put into it is very little because they do a bulk of the work, but here's the key thing. They have a vested interest. When I am successful, they are successful. When they are successful, I am successful. And this, to me, is the key. I want to look for partners that are either willing to do a lot of the development, a lot of the delivery, or ideally have incredible distribution and access to potential buyers. And when you have those 3 things, you have the perfect partner. And so when looking at these partners, I live by a very specific and simple mantra. Before you can multiply, you must first learn to divide. Before you can multiply, you must first learn to divide. Basically, what this means is that you want to be able to focus on partnerships where you're building a bigger pie. As speakers, it's quite often for us to say, well, I'm going to build this, and I'm going to keep 100% of the income. That's great, but you might not have the distribution, and you might spend a lot more time. If you find the right partners, you spend less time, less money, and you build an extremely large pie, and you just get a smaller slice of that pie. Now, the advantage of all this is clearly you can make more money doing less work, which is, to me, the key of leverage. Do less, get more. So when you're thinking about your business, really ask yourself, how can I work 1 hour a day? And in order to do that, you need the right partners, the right business model, and the right mindset.